So we're a go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Sam Snead's House of Whiskey and our first and only live whiskey show around the world. And I am Sam Snead. This is the illustrious Nigel Kelly.
Sure.
And today we've actually got some very cool whiskeys. We're going to use two single cask selections from the Billy Walker range from two of his former great distilleries.
Well, it's not quite full. I mean, he's still there. He hasn't gone yet.
He doesn't own it anymore, but you're right. Yeah, he's still there. That's a fact.
So
barely hanging on.
So just on that, do you know? Is there any word that when Billy's leaving, how long he's going to stay for?
Well, the lads actually were in town. They did the big Benriach tasting last night, and it's an open invitation. Billy can stay as long as he wants. That's the word on the street. And I mean, hell, they'd be crazy. And for those of you, by the way, who are not quite following what we've jumped into right away, is Billy Walker and his conglomerate. They've sold these distilleries back in May, June.
Yeah, it's getting closer to a year, or 6 months at least.
Yeah, and they sold to Brown-Forman, which is the owner of Jack Daniels, Woodford, and such. So now the Americans own it, and we're talking about Billy. Is he going to stay? Is he going to leave? But yeah, the word on the street is it's an open invitation. Billy, you stay as long as you want, which is very smart on their behalf. But then again, we always hear that. I mean, how many times do we hear that? And then the next week you see
it's like the dreaded vote of confidence in football.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like you're struggling.
But interesting. So this sold 6 months ago, or whatever. Glendronach, Benriach, and Glenglassaugh. But bought by the guys from Brown-Forman. So £285 million or something.
Yeah, it was.
Now compare that to High West, which was 167 US. So
yeah.
what's the exchange rate on that? Who got the best deal out of that? You know, you're talking about three distilleries.
I don't think there's any doubt in the world, because I think that Brown-Forman got a hell of a deal. I mean, seriously, they got two phenomenally good distilleries with a lot of history.
And
Glenglassaugh, you know, I mean, look, they're up and coming. They were closed for quite a while, and they'd just gotten them, you know, lifted them off their feet, so to speak. But I think I mean, if you look at the long run, I think it's a great deal.
Okay, so you're picking up the 23-year-old first.
Yeah, and there's obviously you see this bottle's been opened. We opened this when I got these whiskeys 3 weeks ago.
When you say we, I don't remember tasting that.
Well, you haven't tasted this yet. Well, I'm sorry you've missed out. But every year, you know, especially vineyards, and we've got one of our master winemakers in the shop just now from Clearview. But you know, wines, vineyards, they have certain years that you go by. You know, 2011 was a great year. 12 was kind of okay. You know, it's quite common with vineyards. With whiskey, it's not a thing. However, there are certain distilleries that have those great years. You know, Ardbeg, we talk about 77 and 74. Springbank, 66. Dalwhinnie, 73. Glenlivet, 69. You know, things like this. And in my opinion, 1993 at Glendronach, all the single casks and bottlings I've had from 1993 have been superb. And like that whiskey that I brought you back years ago, that we bottled there at the it was a 93 as well.
Okay, so we're going to try these. You know, and there's some amazing history. I mean, Glendronach started, I think, 1825. Benriach is 1897. Both these distilleries have been going almost longer than New Zealand's been a country. And so incredible history, and actually blocking the shot there. But
I'm going to pour Darth this one first, because I've got it goes hand in hand. It's dark like himself, you see.
The color of that is phenomenal.
It is phenomenal. Read the single cask, the cask number, give the spiel on it.
So this is barrel number 42. It's bottled 526 of 561, so it's a sherry butt, Oloroso. But looking at the color of that, I thought when you pulled it out that perhaps it was actually PX.
It does look dark, but I can smell that from here. I mean, even before, it's so rich. The Sultanas, now, and like as you can clearly see in the bottle, I've had a bit of drink out of it already and cheated, added water to it and such, so I do know what to expect. But you've not had this whiskey.
No, because it's also cask strength at 58.6.
Always, yeah. The single cask, you'll pull them right out of the barrel and chuck it in the old bottle, and non-chill filtering, as natural as you can possibly get. And they seriously are some of the best bottlings you will ever drink. I mean, they're just amazing. And like I say, on the nose of that, it is sublime. Lots and lots.
That's amazing. That's going to be a whiskey that, I don't care whether you're just getting into whiskey or been drinking whiskey for a million years. That's going to whiskey that's going to just turn you on. On the nose especially. I don't know about the palate, because
I had a lady in here yesterday, and she was buying an anniversary present for her husband. They had been married in 1993 was the year they got married. She bought our last bottle. And she wasn't a big whiskey drinker. She just wanted to get him a nice whiskey. When I made the suggestion, the 983, she loved the whole bit. But I let her try this, and she tried. The look on her face of, 58 dot. What was it? 58 dot.
58.6.
So huge whiskey. So the poor lass, she almost had a heart attack. But I said, look, I just wanted to show you, as we always tell people, always try a whiskey in its natural state before you continue.
I'm just laughing. So the two divorced guys are giving marriage advice to keep your marriage good. Get a whiskey from the year you get married.
We should know better. We've been through this experience. We know better. And when I added with her, I added a little bit more water than you and I'll add. But I added about 8 drops. Probably knocked it down to about 48%. And the nose drastically changed, and you could see it. She couldn't believe it. But when you drink quality like this, it is second to none. There is a true thing. You get what you pay for.
Oh my God, that is absolutely magnificent.
But the nose on it, you've soaked your palate with it. Go back. The sultanas, the dark chocolate. It's really thick and rich.
Is actually there. It's not like it's a burn, but that has definitely gone straight through my nasal cavity. Man.
But normally with Oloroso casks, or this is PX?
No, it is Oloroso, but it looks like it's a PX.
Yeah, with Oloroso, you'll normally get a pretty quick drying sensation, especially at 58% alcohol. Normally your palate will go quite dry pretty quick. When you touch it up with water, you bring that alcohol down and you get a much longer finish. But with this guy, it stays with you a while.
And it must have been a pretty exceptional cask as well. For there being 561 bottles from one sherry butt at 23 years old.
Would have been a pretty tight. Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. But it's rich, and it isn't a burn. It's just the fact that it is such a high alcohol. It isn't that kind of one that.
But when the alcohol goes away, all the flavors that are left. The cherries come through. The sultanas and raisins really come through. Almost a bit of molasses, a nice chewy. And I know we've used chewy as an expression. Someone wrote in a little while ago and said, how can you smell or feel something chewy? It's a liquid.
But it is. It makes you want to just do it. It's like
it is ridiculously hot. I'm telling you, honestly.
Sticky toffee caramel sort of.
That's it. And you feel like the need to chew, and that's what we mean when we say chew it. It's a chewy whiskey. 5 drops, but because it is. Yeah, we'll go 5 just to see what it does.
Actually, Timmy, maybe just come in and see that big oiliness in there.
I'm just going to give you 4 because you don't have quite as much as me. You took a big smack off of it.
I think I got short poured. I think there was.
Is that what it was?
If we go back to the tape, I think I may have been short poured.
Go back and I think you'll get this. It'll be no.
Oh yeah, correctly. That has changed. That nose, that's all gone now. Golden syrup. That is like opening a tin of golden syrup.
It's gotten a lot sweeter. Eh? The chocolates are there almost, if I remember.
And by the way, if people who haven't tuned in before, if you see Sam and I sniffing the back of our hand, that's not a.
We just like the way we smell.
It's helped neutralising our palate to go back, because particularly with these high alcohol things, if you keep tasting them, keep smelling them rather, you'll get a bit of olfactory blindness. But
we bang on about people say, well, why are single casks so special or whatnot?
That's why.
When Billy or whoever the master distiller is in whatever distillery, when they go out and select this cask, it's not like he just willy-nilly pulls a whiskey off a rack and says, yeah, that's going to be it. They'll actually, or he will actually try 10, 20, 30, 40 different barrels before he'll get to the one that he thinks is perfect. And could you imagine that right out of the barrel, what that would have tasted like?
That's amazing. But the other thing is, okay, this is 23 years old, and it's not by accident it's 23 years old. But the temptation at 18 years old, 19 years old, to bottle it up, because that was obviously an amazing cask.
Yeah, it would have. Yeah, it's why they do it. They do what we do. We do
exactly, and I suppose that's part of the magic of Billy Walker, is the ability to go. That's actually got a long way to go, because again, there's nothing in there that suggests that wouldn't have lasted another 3, 5,
oh God,
10 years.
No, it's still yeah. I know what you're saying. It would be hard to say, okay, let's bottle this now, but that is as good as it gets for whiskey. You can spend $10,000 for a bottle, yeah, sure. And I can bring this bottle that was whatever, a few hundred or whatever the case may be, and I guarantee you I'm right there with as good of a product as you brought to the table.
Well, that's as good as whiskey as I can remember. And I got to try recently when I was up in Colorado, a 33-year-old GlenDronach.
Oh yeah, with the last from Laws.
But it wasn't cask strength. It was just a 33-year-old GlenDronach. I'll go back and have a look at the photos, because I take photos of everything when I'm drinking. just so I can remember where I've
Yeah,
been.
because otherwise you won't remember a thing, boys and girls.
Forget my receipt, but I got the photo. But I want to say it was like 46, 48%, and it was amazing. But that, just exceptional.
Well, hold, see if you can
Oh,
hold on for
I'll keep
a little bit, because what I want to do is with this guy, this is a very,
Oh,
very,
you like that one.
very unusual whiskey in that it's triple distilled, which we all know in Scotland that's not the norm at all. Auchentoshan would be the only distillery that triple distills everything. Everyone else will triple distill bits and pieces. Benriach's triple distilled. Bruichladdich done some triple distilling.
But interesting enough, I mean, one of our kind of favourite cult whiskies, say the Mortlach, they talk about that being 2.85 times where they're going through the wee witchy, that third still, which there is a partial third distillation.
Well, like Springbank does that as well, and also we know the filter at Ardbeg as well, the purifier, I should say. But this is unique. Two reasons: A, it's from a PX, a Pedro Jimenez barrel, and triple distilling. I mean, when's the last time you had a space side that was triple distilled? It's just not that common.
So, I mean, look at the colours of those.
An age difference, we're talking a 1998
Okay,
compared to a
so
93.
you're talking sort of 17 years against a 23.
Yeah, you got
but
about 5 or 6 years.
the Oloroso looks darker than the PX.
Which is, yeah, it really, really does. You know, you got 5 more years, but yeah. Or no,
Okay,
40.
well that's interesting. So I said that barrel was tight. Maybe it wasn't as tight as I'm expecting because this is 561 bottles. This had 670, and yes, it's a few years younger, but I don't see 100 bottles being lost in 6 years. So maybe this barrel wasn't quite as tight as I'm thinking.
Could do.
And this is car strength as well at 57.3.
How much?
So it's lost more alcohol.
How much is that?
57.3.
57? Yeah, still pretty close. Yeah, 5 years you'd expect. Yeah, you know.
So 18 years old, 57.3.
I see you short poured me is what you've done.
Yeah, that's why I picked in my glass. It was like,
Honestly, boys and girls, we'll have to. That's the advantage when you own the shop. You can just report. So you
it's not
see.
that close.
Well, I got to put water in it and see where we go. And Darth's going to probably have to have a little bit of both of this. But yeah, so what we're talking about triple distilling, and again, not to dumb down our audience or anything, but it's like how they do mostly in Ireland, where they'll go through the stills 3 times.
To be sure.
Yeah, they'll go through those copper pot stills, not twice, but that 3rd time. And it's a little bit of give and take. I mean, it's great that it goes through the 3rd time. The copper contact, you get that extra copper contact, it strips away a little bit more of the volatiles, but you are left with a little less character.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're going to say, you being Irish and all, and me being, but that's my opinion.
You think of it, you say that, but things like Redbreast and stuff, that's clearly pot still three times distilled. All that happens when you distill that 3rd time is you're actually taking that alcohol content higher. But the problem comes with Irish whiskies when we get it up to 74 or 80% and then cut it back to 80. So then it's 50% water. This is cask strength. So, I mean, this probably would have come off the still, again, somewhere between 75 and 80%. It's gone in the barrel. I don't know whether they would have proofed it down before they put it in the barrel. But the smell of that, I mean, it's got that beautiful orangey copper.
Really, really interesting, because I wouldn't have expected that kind of spice.
No.
My olfactory just went ping, and I mean, at triple distilling, I've just, contradicted what I originally said, because there's a bit of pop there.
The difference between the two of them, one being, okay, there's a few years difference, and one being PX, one being Oloroso, is absolutely massive. Oh, just on the nose. I haven't tasted this one yet, but just on the nose, that's...
I'll be really, really, really curious to see what water does to it, but...
This has got like almost a mahogany sort of quality to it, not the Benriach, the Glendronach. Whereas there's a bright, almost an orangey...
yeah, you get a zesty, a little orange peel, like the inside of the orange peel kind of thing. I'm really impressed with the amount of nice little spice in there. And when I say spice, like almost Moroccan, some exotic spices, not just peppers, some nice little exotic spice in there.
And again, at 57.3, I'm actually hesitant to even want to add water to that. That's drinking beautifully.
Really?
I
Not
think
dry? Or?
Well, there's a dryness to it, but I think that's absolutely fantastic. Those are 2 seriously very, very good whiskies.
But they're very, very different. You see, for that whiskey, I can definitely tell that extra distillation, you don't have the depth. You don't have near the depth. Yep.
Or is it just like it's just being polished a little bit better? Because you're saying depth, whereas I'm seeing a different array of colours.
Yeah, no,
of flavors.
I'm getting all that, but like this, and again, it's good that we have a difference of opinion because that's the whole thing of drinking whiskey. This for me was just rich, extravagant. It was just deep, luscious, all these things going on. This is beautiful on the nose, but on the palate, I think the nose was so good. Maybe I was expecting a little bit more on the palate. I don't know. I could have been false led on the nose, but
also, in fairness, this has been
it's very good.
This has been open for
Yes, actually, that is a fair point.
and that's only just been open. And
That is a fair point.
always say to people, whenever you buy a bottle of whiskey, take it home, take the neck out of it, share it with the person that you bought it off, take it home. The whiskey will always taste better the next day. And this has only just been opened, so I'd want to say that I'm going to come back here in 24 hours and I want to try that again because I think that is magnificent. And when you say that it was triple distilled, so it was a full triple distillation for all components of this particular whiskey.
Yes, I'm 99.5% sure that that's a fact. I'm leaving myself.
Welcome to America, being great again.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving myself some wiggle room by sheer off chance I'm wrong, but there's no way I'm wrong.
60%
But
of
yes,
the time
3
you're right,
times in the
100%.
stills. 1, 2, yeah, 3 times in the stills.
Because that,
Billy will write me and go, actually, Sam, no. But no,
I'd be interested to see, and I wonder that triple distillation, much like the Springbank. I mean, you look at that diagram 20 times, and you still
No, I
can't
think it'll go
understand.
through 3. I think I'm pretty sure you can feel it. It's. Well, I've got to add water now. My curiosity is really up. It's a lovely, lovely whiskey. I think I've actually done them wrong. This would have been better served going first.
But who's to know? I mean, to be
I'm gonna
fair,
go 4. To be fair. Is that what you're gonna say?
To be fair, I would have gone the older one first as well because you would expect it to potentially be a little bit softer because it has had that extra time in the barrel.
Yeah.
And sometimes the younger whiskies can overwhelm the older ones.
So we'll see on the nose with this, and I'm going to expect. I'll stick my foot in my mouth, but it's going to thin it out quite a
You
bit.
take the other one out first.
No. Clearly. You see, even on the nose, it's not quite.
No, definitely on the nose. I think the water has not done anything to enhance this.
Whereas
Or is
opposed,
that-
no, I'll tell you, there's the spice. Now I'm getting a bit of that peppery spice, not such exotic spice. It's a little bit more of a peppery pop, like white pepper.
Yeah, I was going to say white pepper as opposed to black pepper.
Yeah. I've kind of lost that chewy, not that it was chewy, but there's something that's been diminished. Same, different. You know,
There's almost a little bit of ginger.
I can almost go with that maybe.
If you were to make a ginger marmalade, that's how I would describe that.
I think with the water added, it's opened up some of those flavors now. We can actually get to some of those flavors. I think maybe the alcohol, I would venture to say that triple distilling at cask strength, you've already triple distilled it, so maybe you've taken away some bits and pieces already. With that higher alcohol, the higher ABV, again, it's kind of hard to get through. Now that we've added a touch of water, it's able to open up and we can actually get to the crux of that whiskey. I actually think this is quite a bit better.
I think you've opened a philosophical discussion there about triple distilling taking things away. Is it taking away good things or is it removing stuff that doesn't need to be there? So you're actually kind of sharpening that point a little bit more.
Yeah, well, fair.
And I suppose it then comes down to the skill of the distiller, and we know Billy Walker kind of knows what he's doing.
Yeah, just a little bit. But again, do you think? I mean, I actually think it's been vastly improved with that water.
Well, again, I think it's almost an unfair comparison. The fact that this has been open for a week and is looking absolutely magnificent. This has only just been open.
And they are different animals. I mean, like I said, that's why I want to do this. I mean, we're talking something, a different barrel, a PX as opposed to an Oloroso, triple distilled, traditional double distilled. So they are two different animals.
Only just open.
Yep.
And
5 years.
And it's 5 years difference. It's been in the bottle for 18. Sorry, in the barrel for 18 years. Been in the bottle for however long, a year or so. I wouldn't want to have to choose one because I think they're both magnificent.
They're just different, and that's the
Yeah.
whole point of whiskey. I'll tell you though that adding a touch of water, I put 4 drops in there, so you're still talking 51, 52% alcohol. So I mean, there's a bit of life in there. It's nice.
For our cameraman, are both these whiskies older than you?
Can we get the thumb?
No. Okay.
But that is, it's got some, the complexities have really opened up on it now. And I'll tell you.
To be fair, if I was going to have to choose right here, right now, the GlenDronach would probably win.
Yeah.
But I think that is still incredibly good whiskey. And again, I'd love to go back and try it again in 24 hours, just when it's woken up a little bit. So I'm definitely going to come here tomorrow afternoon.
See, I'm just scared to death that we're going to wake up one morning, as we did in May, and found out that Billy and everybody had sold the distillery to America, because that was a bit of a quiet thing. All of a sudden, bam, it happened. And I'm so afraid that we're going to wake up one day and Billy's retired or done something else, which that could very well happen. And I always have to pick up a couple of these now, just so I've got them. But I just wanted to compare, because they're just they're same, but so very different.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we've really done too much with triple distilled whiskeys, especially something from Speyside.
Not from Speyside.
Because who would be another Speyside? Well, who would be another Speyside? Or Highland?
Well, I don't know that anyone does well, apart from what they did at Hazelburn, obviously not Speyside, but I don't know that anyone else kind of full-on triple distilling. You're getting that partial distillation. I mean,
Yeah, Benriach's the only one, because they did a release last year, a triple distilled release, but I don't know of anyone that really has.
Anyway, we should probably wrap this up. But just on a slightly sad note to finish, just
Wait a minute, sad note.
Yeah. Well, the passing away of Jim Swan, who's the guy who's instrumental
Actually,
for making Cavalan what it was.
Yeah.
Jim was known as a bit of a troubleshooter, going around and helping distilleries out, advising. Sadly passed away very recently in the last 24 hours. So to Jim's family and to Jim, if you're watching, Slauncher. And
a lot of good things that guy did for the industry.
Amazing.
He was the one that really started getting into the design of stills themselves, and like if you want to change the profile of your spirit, change the still in this kind of way. So there was a lot of things he kind of pioneered.
Well, our friends at Cavalan, I mean, he took them from being kind of just people making some stuff to making these amazing whiskies.
Yeah, that's a shame. That's a loss. That is a loss.
So, all right, until next time.
Until next time, boys and girls. That's going to be hard to kind of beat these whiskeys. We've kind of outdone ourselves. Sadly, boys and girls, we're going to have to be the ones that finish these bottles off. But no apologies. All right, until next week, boys and girls.
Slauncher.
Cheers.